You hate ads? I hate ads. You know what I like? Patreon.com/inkdependence keeps this channel ad-free. Hey folks, welcome to Ink Dependence. I'm Mike, and this is the Kaweco Liliput. This pen comes to me courtesy of Pen Heaven out in London. They sent a box of pen goodies as a surprise a while ago, and so this review is courtesy of them. So thank you very much, Pen Heaven. Go check them out, penheaven.com, or in person if you're in London, I suppose. This is the Lowell box for the Kaweco Liliput, and you can see right there. This is a pen that I actually kind of avoided for a long time, and I definitely should not have. Here's the Pen Heaven card. That's fun. Like that. We hope you enjoy your purchase for many years to come. Please contact our experts if you have any questions, big or small. Very nice. So check out penheaven.com. Thank you very much for sending that out. Then you have the Kaweco sticker here, and you have a little booklet on the history of Kaweco, which is fun. And then inside here, you have the pen. All right, let's get into this pen here. This is the Kaweco Liliput, and this is a pen man, that I should never have avoided. I have big old hands, and so I was always worried that the Kaweco Liliput was going to be too small. And let me tell you, as a guy with real big hands, this is not too small. It's actually a very nice pen to use. And you can see there is no damage to this pen, even after being in my pockets quite a lot. This is a pen that I just chuck in my pockets. I'll be showing you a lot of pocket pens at the end of this video, and I just throw them all in my pockets, mostly. I'm not super careful with a pocket pen because I think a pocket pen has to be able to take a beating and still be looking good and all that. So let's take a look at the pen outside, inside. We'll talk about filling systems, do a writing sample, show you a bunch of other pocket pens, and that'll be it. So here we have the Kaweco Liliput Germany there on the top of the cap, and also here we have the Kaweco logo. It's very reflective. This is the all aluminum version. This pen does come in all kinds of materials: aluminum, copper, brass, and a blued stainless steel, which is pretty darn cool if you ask me. It's a really good looking pen. Down here at the bottom, no logos or anything like that, but you do have screw threads here because you do screw to post this pen, and you're probably going to want to post it if you are going to write more than a little bit with it. So when you open it up, this little capsule looking thing. No cap liner in there, but as you can see, there's not like a whole lot of room inside this cap anyway. I have never experienced this pen doing anything like drying out. You can see there's actually no ink in the cap, which I'm always surprised about because frankly, this just goes in my pocket and it goes any which old way. It'll flip around in my pocket because it's so small. So it's another pen that I also like kind of pat my pockets and stuff to make sure I still have it because it's so light I forget it's there. All right, so looking at this, unposted, it is very, very short. It is 3.43 inches or 87 millimeters, give or take. We'll have some stats up here in a little bit. But that is a little small. Now I can kind of wedge it in the web of my hand and I can write a little bit with it, but I like it a lot better once you post it. And it posts like this. Screw that on the back. It does have the same kind of like rounded end with a screw to post system that the spoke axle has, but for some reason I find this one a little bit easier to put together. I don't really know why. Maybe it's just because it's smaller or something like that. But once you have posted this, it is a perfectly reasonable length to write with. This is very comfortable. It is still very thin, but it's a pocket pen. It's not meant to be one that you use for long writing sessions, although I have written a fair amount with this pen. I have filled this converter, and we'll see a converter here soon, a bunch of times. So here is the nib. It is the small nib that you will find on pens like the Kaweco Sport and the Student and some of these other ones that we'll be seeing here soon, including the Kaweco Original 060 model. So very small nib there. You can see Kaweco on the feed and Kaweco on the nib along with the size marker. This one happens to be a medium, and this is a great size for this pen. I think a lot of times I'll get a smaller nib in a pocket pen, like a finer nib, but not necessarily this one. I think this medium is great. Okay, so let's open this up. Oh, I should say you have a little bit of a pinch here at the section. So while this is an all metal pen, it has never really felt slippery because the section is small, and I tend to put a couple of fingers there and like maybe a finger on these threads, and it is nice and tight in my grip. I don't really have to, like clinch onto this one at all. It works just fine. So yeah, pretty good. Okay, let's open this thing up. unscrews there, and you can see there is a little tiny converter here. We'll talk about that here in just a sec. You can either use one of these little piston converters from Kaweco, or you can just pop in a standard international cartridge that works, honestly, probably better than this converter. So let's just take this loose. There we go. And you can see actually when I was messing with that, can I make it do it again? No, I can't make it do it again. Of course I can't make it do it again. You can unscrew the nib unit here if you want to, like this, to change it out for another nib unit if you'd like to get another size nib for your pen. All right, so that's kind of all there is going on here. There's not a lot else to show. I wouldn't eyedropper this pen at all. I think that's probably a bad idea with the aluminum and all that. This is the Kaweco piston converter, and I had never used one of these before because I had always heard that they were pretty bad, and I kind of agree. So this, I mean, even at full extension, this does not hold very much ink at all. It does hold, I mean, it holds a little bit less than a cartridge, I would say, and it is easier than using a syringe to fill a cartridge, but it's just not going to hold very much ink, and even if you have it at full extension, it doesn't hold much. Now, when you have it in the pen, you do need to be aware of this fact right here, because I kind of had not thought about this until I filled this. So when you look at this, there is not enough room for the fully extended piston inside this barrel, which means that if you have this full of ink and you have it fully extended and you screw this barrel down, you're going to shoot ink out of the front of your pen, and it will be a mess. So when you do this, I mean, if you want to see how far in it needs to go, you can just sort of like, I mean, you put it there and you can tell it's not going to be close. So we got to push this down. There's not very much ink left in this because I have almost written it dry again. All right, so there we go. And as we screw it down, yeah. No, we're good. There's not enough ink in here to make a mess, which is nice. Come on, screw down all the way. There we go. So that actually gets pretty darn small. And now when we open this up, we'll see that you can't use this portion of the converter, right? You've got this bit of the converter to work with, which is just, it's very little ink. That's not much ink at all. It does work. It works just fine. It's just that it doesn't have much ink capacity, which for a pocket pen, maybe not a big deal, but I mean, as I said, I've run through this little amount of ink capacity quite a lot. I do have an ink in here that I am really liking. It is Cross Black. I am really enjoying that ink, and it's great in this pen. It's great for a pocket pen, but I have to keep filling it because it just doesn't hold very much ink at all. Okay, let's do a little writing sample, and then we'll take a look at a whole bunch of pens next to this thing. I'm using my Kikuyo. This is a Kikuyo Soft Ring 80. This is a little pocket notebook size thing. I love this paper and this, soft rings. This is brilliant stuff. All right, let's open this up, post it up, and we're ready to go. Kaweco. Medium nib. You can see I had a little bit of a hard start up here, and that's one, because this is almost entirely empty, and two, because I've been waving the nib around here for several minutes at this point, and it's just kind of waving it around in the air, and it's not great for ink flow. So once it got started, after I finished that K, there we go, perfect. Everything else is totally fine. It's perfectly good at writing quickly, at doing scribbles. There's no line variation, of course. It's just a regular medium nib with a little bitty ball of tipping there, so you're not going to get line variation, but you could grind that if you want. Okay, so let's take a look at a bunch of pens next to this one. This is a really nice writer, and I have had zero problems with this pen in the last few months that I have been using it. Okay, so as you can see, I am a big pocket pen fan. I have several pocket pens, and I just pulled an assortment of pocket and also just kind of smaller pens to go alongside this Liliput. Let's go ahead and square these up so that they are nice and even. There we go. Nice and even. Thank you, ruler. So here is the Liliput next to the Kaweco Sport. This is actually my first and original Kaweco Sport. You can see this was a clear one. It has picked up ink stains. It has picked up like some UV damage. It's a little bit yellower than it started out. It's got a different section because I got a bunch of different sections to use different nib sizes when I first got this. It's got ink trapped back here. This is just a workhorse of a pen, but Kawecos make great pocket pens. So this one is smaller than the Kaweco Sport. Then you have the two originals, the 060 and the 250 sized pens. And then another one that I forgot I had until just I opened up this pen case, I'm like, oh yeah, the Kaweco Student, which is slightly larger than the rest of these. Then we have up here a Faber-Castell Loom, because this is on the big end of pens that I would consider like almost a pocket pen. It's a smallish fountain pen or a large pocket pen. The Franklin-Christoph Pocket 66, which is also a pretty large pocket pen. The Pilot Pereira, which I would almost call a pocket pen. It's really kind of in this range. The Franklin-Christoph Model 45. The Schoen Design Smalltum pen in black Altum. The Spoke Design Axle. The Gravitas pocket pen. There we go. Put the logos out where we can. And then the Schoen Design Pocket 6, which is the smallest there. Now, compared to these, the Pocket 6 is a little bit shorter than the Kaweco Liliput, but it is also a heck of a lot wider. I mean, check out the diameter difference on these things. Now, if you look at the stats over here, the diameters on this are something I forgot to write down. One moment. There we go. As you can see, that I definitely wrote down beforehand and not during the video at all. The diameters here are the barrel at 9 millimeters and the section at 7.4 to 8.2 millimeters, which is a pretty skinny section. But again, you're not going to be using this for a long period of time, and I haven't had a problem holding it, which is a little bit on the surprising side for me, because that is a small section. So there you have it. There's a whole bunch of pens with their caps on. Now let's go ahead and uncap these, and I'll post them where appropriate, like these small pens. Okay, so these are all posted, mostly, except for the ones that don't really post. Actually, does this one post? I mean, I guess, but you don't really want to post that one so much. So we'll just set it here. All right, so when you compare it to these, you can see the Liliput is actually on the longer side for these pocket pens. It's just a hair shorter than the Kaweco Sport and the Schoen Designs Pocket 6, and then a little bit longer than either of these Kaweco Originals or the Student. And then when you put it next to some of these other larger pocket pens up here, at least like mostly larger, you see that it kind of comes in a medium range between all of these. A bit longer than the spoke axle is going to be, shorter than the rest of these all up here on the top row, but it's in that same pocket range as the rest of these. And so that's why I say some of these like larger pens are still in the pocket pen range, because once you post them and you're going to write with them, they're in the same kind of size as opposed to, I don't know, something like a Platinum 3776 or something, which is a good bit longer, right? So yeah, there we go. There's a whole bunch of pens posted and not. Okay, and last thing, price. The price of this pen is all over the place, and it's going to depend on a variety of factors, including things like the material it's made from. This one is all aluminum and it's kind of plain, and I think it's going to be on the lower end of the price spectrum here, around 35 bucks, but it also goes up to 165, give or take, when you get the stainless steel fire blued one, which is like all flame colored and looks rad. It's the same kind of effect you see on this Diplomat Arrow, except applied to a Liliput, and it looks really neat. So that's a possibility. But you've also got your coppers and your brasses and that sort of thing that will make a difference on the price. So the price varies wildly. It's just kind of where you want to be. And I really like this version. I think it's great, and it has held up in the pocket. And yeah, I'm a fan, and I didn't think I was going to like it, which is always an amazing surprise. So thank you very much to Pen Heaven for sending this out for review, and y'all go ahead and throw Pen Heaven some just rub I got a little ink on here, just rub it right off. It's no big deal. Thank you to Pen Heaven for sending this out. Y'all show Pen Heaven some support and let them know that you found this pen here, or that you heard about them here, and that is always helpful to channels like this. So thank you very much to Pen Heaven. Thank you to all my patrons and other supporters. Like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you think about the Kaweco Liliput down there in the description, and y'all see me in another video. That's it. Peace out.